What is up, my peepholes? This is your guy, Cly, and it's time for a little DIY. I've been getting a lot of requests lately to try my hand at making a fidget spinner without a central bearing, and I decided to finally give it a go. I'm going to avoid using all of the convoluted molding compounds and tools that I've been breaking out in my previous DIYs. This time, I'm keeping it simple. I'm going to just stick with the items you see here, the kind of stuff that you can find in your backpack, your cubicle, pretty much anywhere. And really that's about it. I'm going to teach you a little, just a little bit of origami, which is actually what I picked up in school because I needed something to do with my hands and fidget toys didn't exist yet. So, I will go ahead and warn you, you're not going to get the same kind of spin time that you could with a, professionally made spinner, but this is for those of you who need something to do with your hands and either left your spinner at home or don't own one. So sit back, relax, let's get started. The first thing you're going to need is a sheet of paper from your mini legal pad. This is a 5x8 sheet of paper, and I totally didn't tear it off before beginning this scene due to multiple takes where it was kind of stuck. Not at all. We need to get this down to a square, so just fold the bottom up until it meets one of the edges. You can do left side or right side, doesn't matter to me. There we go. Give it a nice fold. You should now have a little bit of an equilateral triangle. Then fold the top piece down. This is a trick that I used to always use to just make myself a sheet of origami paper. There we are. I decided to go for the no scissors method. So just score it with your fingernail. If you don't have a fingernail, use a pen or a pencil. Works almost as well, not quite as well though. And of course, if you do have a pair of scissors, go ahead and use those, I don't mind. This is just me going at this bare bones. After you've scored it on one side, bring it back over. Give it a nice scoring again. There we are. And carefully give it a tear. Should have weakened that up just enough. There we go. Should follow the line almost perfectly. Doesn't have to be exact. Don't want to go too fast. There we are. Do save this strip of paper though. You're going to need it at the end. Next, fold your paper in half and we're just going to cut it again. So there we are. You should, I might as well mention, you should have a 5x5 piece of paper now. Bring it back around and back down. Just fold it back over once again. There we are, and just trying to make sure I'm on camera. There we go. Once again, save that piece. You're actually going to be making 2 of the origami bow ties. So once again, fold in half, but this time you're not cutting. So there we are. Let's just get the lighting onto my target. Next, you're going to take the corner just of one side and fold it back towards the center fold. You could do this inward as well because it ultimately will end up in there, but I find it easier to judge distances like this because you're going straight at the actual seam of the paper. There we are. Flip it over and repeat. I will say my folds might get a little sloppy. I'm doing this on camera and I can't look at everything, making sure I'm on frame. It'll still work though. You don't need to be exact. Don't worry if you don't have perfect technique. I know I don't. There we are. Now fold it back so that your folded corners are on the inside. Next, you're going to be bringing this top edge down to the center fold, thusly. Let's just go ahead and bring her in. Using a ruled sheet is actually really good for this because you can follow the lines and make sure they line up. It's a little bit cheaty, but I don't mind. I do it all the time. There we are. Oh, come here. Perfect. Next, fold it in half. Long ways like that. And now you're going to pull the edge up diagonally with one little caveat. The fold you just made, oh, focus. No, I should have done a fixed focus. The fold you just made at the center there is going to line up with the seam. So if I bring it up, another time when having the lines is useful, you can actually see it even if I didn't have everything. So if you look at this line here, it follows like so. Unfold and do the same thing the other way. There we are. Perfect. Now when you fold it in half, once again in this direction, you're going to pinch the corners just a little bit so that when you fold, oh, come here. This is always a little bit tricky for me. I've got meaty fingers, what can I say? There we go. When you're done with that, you're going to end up with a little bit of a dart tail. So, ta-da! I just need a pencil and I can play darts. All right, let's bring the next fold on, which is a flap like that. So, there we go. You're basically turning the little fold you just made into a pocket. And back down around. Perfect. Should have a shape like this. Oh, my fold is a little crooked. I don't mind though. I hope you don't either. Now, we're going to be bringing this outer corner right here inward. So, like so. Do it on all four. So, like that. I should also mention that origami was the gateway to chainmail. So if you liked my chainmail fidget spinner in the past, which I'll pop up a link to the video now, you might end up just so happening to learn that skill. And I am making horrible sentences, but I want this done in one take. And there we are. Now, pinch down on the two flaps on each side that you just made and tug gently. Give a little bit of pressure at the center. There we go. And now you have a bow tie. I like to fold the corners in as well for the final step. And I will make one more of these and get back to you. And there you go, 2 origami bow ties. These are going to make up the body of your fidget spinner. However, on their own, they're not exactly that sturdy, which is where one of your paper clips comes in. I suggest using the larger style paper clip than the smaller, but you're going to have to modify it a little bit. You're going to unfold it, warp things around, making it just fit in the middle of here, like I did with this guy. Not exactly pretty, but he does the job. Fits quite nicely, actually. So, bringing our origami together, one like that, making a sandwich, and then bringing on the binder clips. These act as both a way to get everything to hold together while you staple, as well as your counterweights at the end. Bring in the next one. I like using these smaller ones and then taking off the ends like so. Admittedly, the stapler at the next step is optional, but I advise using it. Using your other paper clip, just go ahead and unfold it. You're going to cut a hole in the center, as such, and all the way through. There we go. And for the staples, what you're going to do is just put a few around the hole there so that you can reinforce it. So just 1, 2, and I actually will take off the binder clips. I should not have removed their ends. What can I say? I didn't think ahead at this stage. 3, and 4. This way your spinner will just last a little bit longer, even though it really is meant to be disposable. Now, the last real step is to make yourself an axle. You can do that using the paper clip you just used to punch the center out, I should say. There we are. Just bring these back on. I'll get this done. It should not take me more than a second longer. I'm apologizing in advance because I'm trying to do this in one contiguous take. There we go. You don't need too much, but when you're done, oh goodness, and that is why we take the ends of the binder clips off. I really hope I don't have to take and put them back on. If I do, I will do a cut. There we go. And that is why we're making end caps. And that is why you kept this piece of paper. Go ahead and just cut it in half. Now, cut. Bring that around, and like so. Back over on itself, like so. And down the center. All you need to do is fold this over on itself a few times to give you enough distance between the pokey ends of the paper clip and your finger. So there we go. That should be more than enough. Maybe. Last time I tried, I used a bit thicker of a sheet of paper. I actually used the entire piece, which would mean you'd need 2 of those strips, so keep that in mind. This is an experiment at this stage. There we are. This amount was perfect. This amount seems feasible, if not perfect. Go ahead and give it a couple of staples to hold everything together, because you do not want loose pieces of paper smacking your spinner while it goes around, because that'll slow it down even faster. You're already minus a bearing, which means you have one fewer thing between you and the forces of friction. Why complicate things, am I right? There we go. Break yourself off. Well, actually, before we break off the paper clip, just, there we go. Going to want to gouge just a little bit, not too much, making sure you have a nice little seat for your paper clip when you're done, kind of like I did here. In fact, I'm going to pantomime and then just cheat a little bit using the ones I made earlier. There we go. And I'll cheat a little bit more. What you're going to need to do is snap off just a small piece of paper clip. If you don't have wire snips, which is admittedly what I was thinking about using, but nah, I will do it the hard way. If you don't have wire snips, all you do is create a little metal stress, there we go, and snap it off. Actually, that should leave me with just jagged enough point. There we go. Do a little auger motion. Well, more of an awl than an auger. There we are. And MacGyver style, what can I say? Perfect, or decent, I should say. Take your axle, put it in. And that might actually be a little long for the tips that I have right now. Okay, yes. The half piece was a bad idea. You'll want a little extra paper. In fact, take another sheet if needed. You want as much material between you and the pointy bits as possible. When putting everything together, make sure the slick side, or not slick, the larger portion of the staple, not the parts that get folded under, are towards your bearing, where your bearing would be, admittedly. I'm flubbing all the lines here and you're going to get to see them. If you're wondering what all the writing is on that, that is from a sheet that I used to plot a previous episode. Oh, come on, get in there. I'm actually going to bring that around so that I don't have as easy of a slip. And there we go. Despite a few setbacks in my process there, it works. It does horizontal, vertical. You're not going to get super long spin times, like I said. This is no bearing, which means you have one fewer thing between you and the forces of friction. Feel free to try this out, modify it as you see fit, and I'll see you in the next one.